Good evening, class. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about rheumatoid arthritis. My interviewee was Kendra Aguirre. She is a pro tempore judge and a clerk at the Salem Justice Court. She is my co-worker and close friend. I have known her my entire life, just not in a intimate enough aspect to understand her struggles with rheumatoid arthritis until very recently, this interview to be exact. Her trouble began with pain in her left ankle and quickly worked its way up while simultaneously hurting on the right side of her body. She knew something must be terribly wrong once the pain had taken over her entire lower region of her body. She explained that she just woke up one morning to get ready for work and she couldn't even get herself out of bed because the pain was so severe. She suffers from rheumatoid arthritis, which she will always call RA. We all call it RA. It is a chronic inflammatory joint disease which can cause cartilage and bone damage, and it affects women 3 times more than men. Diagnosis of RA is extremely difficult and involves much trial and error. For Kendra, it took dozens of trips to the doctor's office and a 7-day hospital stay to finally receive her diagnosis. And it was 7 days before she was diagnosed, but it was a 10-day hospital stay. So 10 days in the hospital, 7 of those days were used to diagnose her after an attack from a psychiatrist who told her and her mother that she was just making up the pain and it had to all be in her head. After a misdiagnosis, multiple blood tests, and a painful 2-hour MRI, she was finally diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. For the MRI, her joints were obviously too swollen to pivot or move the full aspect that anybody else's would move. And during the MRI, they needed to have her toes pointed towards each other. So for this MRI, they taped her feet and legs together, and had her sit in that same position for 2 hours during her MRI. The MRI concluded that her joints did not have full movement, and that her blood work also revealed an elevated erythrocyte sedimentation rate due to the inflammation. In her own words, to put things simply, rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disorder where your body identifies the joints as foreign bodies and attacks them, causing swelling and immense pain. Her emotional and physical well-being. It has been 12 years, so her emotions are usually well-maintained and accepting of her diagnosis, except for the once-a-month breakdown she recalls having. She kind of joked about it. It's maybe not once a month, it just comes and goes. Not at least once a month, but no more than once a month. And in hopes of not contradicting that above statement, she knows that the physical aspect weighs on her because it gets in the way of her participating in normal activities, as she always has to consider how much walking will be done in the day, if there's any place for her to sit down so that she can give her feet and ankles a rest. She also voices that RA has interfered with her marriage, as she is not always able to engage in sex or other activities that her active husband partakes in, such as hiking or just going on walks. She does go on walks, but not as much as she would like to. It has also been a struggle to accommodate an aching body, considering she was a pitcher for her high school's softball team. I used to watch her, and she played all other sports at our local high school. Her support group has always consisted of family and friends. A majority of her family members own their own small businesses here in our local community, and she's worked for all of them, so they would in turn employ her to do tasks that she was capable of doing 8 hours a day to ensure that she earned her own income. Throughout her surgery, she also relied on her grandma, who watched over her and housed her. Social support plays an important role in well-being, especially when there's a chronic disease involved. So she has always had a great support group from all of her family members. They're a very close-knit family, and you can see that support in her daily activities and just holidays, with everything. So it's a great thing to watch, even prior to knowing how chronic rheumatoid arthritis was. The medical treatment, there is no definitive diagnosis for RA. So throughout the 12 years of diagnosis, She has gone through 6 different medications, all of which stopped working after some time. She explains that her experiences with medical staff have all been pleasant, except for the psychiatrist in the beginning and a doctor she saw for years who gradually seemed to lose interest in you. There's more on that on the next slide. Unfortunately, she has not received any treatment in over a year due to family deaths and pushing her own health aside, which becomes an issue for women in the health aspect as they have so many roles to participate in. We kind of push it to the side. Her obstacles, I don't want to say they're far and few between, but she's really positive, so she's only given me a few. One of her obstacles was getting a proper diagnosis for her rheumatoid arthritis, which doesn't have any diagnostic criteria. Another obstacle was when her first doctor seemed to lose interest in her, and in turn she ended up hospitalized. She then expressed her concerns to her doctor and ultimately resolved the problem by getting a new doctor. Her first doctor was failing to meet her needs by assessing her family work and social life, which resulted in a visit to the hospital. Other obstacles have presented themselves in the face of strangers treating her badly due to her weight. She has met them with kindness, as they do not intend on understanding her struggles. Fortunately for Kendra, she does not feel that she has ever been mistreated by medical staff due to her gender. She also does not feel that she's been mistreated due to her income, ethnicity, race, or status. However, she has been mistreated due to her age and received comments like, "You're too young to have your rheumatoid arthritis. Quit complaining. Just get up. Lose some weight." Just rude insults that she doesn't need to hear, but she attributes all of those to her weight and nothing to do with being a woman or her income, ethnicity, race, or status. She says that in the ideal world, she would just hope that people would look at others with rheumatoid arthritis with more compassion and understanding. In conclusion, what I have learned the most from interviewing Kendra and researching rheumatoid arthritis is that it can be a difficult thing to deal with. Diagnosis is extremely difficult and treatment options are limited. Social support can be key in coping with some of the difficulties it causes. Since this disease primarily affects women, it is my opinion that more studies should be women-centric. And here's a list of all of my references.